All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Taco Tuesday. It is, and boy, there's a lot to talk about today. There is some really explosive moves in the market today, things that we didn't see coming. The biggest one coming from overseas with ASML coming out with a pre-announcement that I guess wasn't supposed to have been announced. Not that what they said was incorrect, but it just wasn't supposed to be announced. Excuse me. So that's dragging down a lot of the semi sector, including AMAT, unfortunately for us right now. But we'll see if there's any kind of recovery. So we've got that going on. We've got markets on their heels a little bit. S&Ps are down about 24 points right now. The Dow was down really big early on, and that was due to UNH. And then it rallied back. And now it's only down about 126 points or so, and the Nasy's down about 145 points. And that is, you've got NVIDIA after the massive run that we've seen. NVIDIA's down 5%. On the flip side of that, you got Apple at all-time highs, up about 1.5%. But again, this news from ASML dragging down some tech stocks, dragging down semi stocks. We'll have to see if there's any sort of recovery there. Overall volatility in the marketplace, guys, hasn't moved a lot. I do want to show you something that one of my broker buddies in the VIX told me about that traded, I don't know, about 20 minutes ago or so. Let me see. I know there was a big buy of December 55 calls here. December 55 calls. Here they are right here. Yep. Actually 50,000 of these traded. Is that open, closing? There was 45,000 outstanding there. So we don't really know if that's open or closing yet, but that was a very big trade in the VIX today. There was some really big trade in Coinbase earlier today, but pretty much across the market here, we're just giving back a little bit. One thing that I really like that hopefully can continue is we got in a couple days ago as the 10-year soared. So bonds sold off, interest rates soared. We got into TMF, which is a 20-year 3x bull position on the 20-year treasury. And that's making a nice move up today. We also got in on TLT, which is just the 20-year ETF, 20-year treasury ETF. And we got in also on that one. So hopefully that'll continue, and that'll continue if rates continue to come down. The 10-year was trading 410 just yesterday. I think right now we're at 403. That's a pretty significant move. All right, I know today with everything we put out there, guys, you're not here to listen to me alone. You are here to listen to, wait a minute. There we go. How's that look for everybody? We got Charlie Moon in the house. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing great, Scott. How you doing?
I'm just couple hours down the road from you now, enjoying the Colorado weather. You?
I am loving the weather. Action-packed day. I mean, listen, can't be any better. Good to be busy.
Good to be busy is right. So tell us what. Oh, I just see a headline right now coming across, and someone was asking earlier actually about some news sources that we look at, and you and I both use one of the same ones, and that's Walter Bloomberg on X or Twitter. And I see that just came across the newswire. U.S. steel falls as Trump says he won't allow Nippon to buy. So I don't know if that's going to affect some of the other stocks as well in that space. We'll have to see. So sorry, I'm just trying to get you framed up here, which I really can't do too well. So we're going to have to deal, maybe that's better. There we go. All right, what are you seeing? Charlie, fill us in. Tell us what happened with ASML, NVIDIA, and especially AMAT now.
So ASML apparently had some sort of glitch, or they just, in essence, came out as like a pre-announcement, but they didn't mean to. ASML dropped so much they lost about $50 billion in value in a 3 to 5 minute period. So the thing
That's B, billion with a B.
right, and that's the thing. The numbers that came out were really bad. So either there was a glitch in the numbers that were being presented, or these are the real numbers and everybody's scrambling in the semi sector to secure profits or take on a bearish play.
Well, if the numbers were not correct, you think that they would have put that out in their announcement, that it wasn't just, oh, we weren't supposed to make the announcement, and oh, by the way, the numbers aren't right either. But they didn't do that.
Right, and that's not what they said. They just said that it was a technical glitch and it shouldn't have been on their website. For those that are wondering, the numbers that caused the stock to crater was the booking numbers, which are basically forward sales numbers, and they were down about 53% from projection. So it's somewhere around 50, 58. I'm trying to go off the top of my head. It's like 58, and I believe ASML is supposed to come in at 28. So
I'm going to bring up a chart also of
just a substantial miss, and ASML still trying to break down. And again, this is really important because for those that don't know what ASML does, they basically have the monopoly of all the machinery, the machines that make the wafers, the chips, and everything else for the semiconductor sector. And if their booking numbers are that small, the fear of flight, aka the profit-taking move, what people are basically suggestively are saying is that the AI bubble has now officially popped. So it really, I guess, has a lot of dependency. Is this number legit? And if it is, what is the future reflection on semis? Now, as of now, it seems that Wall Street is taking these numbers as legit. And with Wall Street, when they're wrong in terms of projection and valuation, they immediately go into correction mode. So those prices get immediately corrected. And that's why certain stocks like LRCX, KLAC, AMAT in particular, they're, what are they, wafer developing companies. They're kind of in that line of ASML. They would be more in that line as opposed to like Intel and anybody else. They were heavily affected by this news. So
yeah, let's go back to the screen cap here, and I've changed my charts here to a 1 minute chart, guys. Usually I use a daily chart. Here's a 1 minute chart. In an ASML, you can see in from 9:26 to basically 9:30. So in 4 minutes, this thing dropped from 865 all the way down to 736, and has been just kind of grinding, trending lower since then. AMAT, which Charlie just mentioned also, you can see the same exact pattern here. I mean, this is pretty unbelievable. This is really, what do you say? Something like this that comes out during the day where you knock off, in ASML's case, $50 billion of value. That's an outlier move. That's one of those 3 standard deviation moves that we talk about every now and then, but you rarely ever see because they don't happen very often. So this one was pretty crazy.
What's pretty crazy right now is RUG, DRUG. They are up a cool $26 for the day, 1,000%. My room is starting
you
to get
keep
a little...
talking about it. I'm gonna go to that chart right now, but you keep talking about it because you were telling me about it earlier. So here's the stock that Charlie's talking about, drug DRUG.
Yeah, and it's an extremely low float name, which makes, short sellers very, it makes access to shares very difficult. And they're in this parabolic state right now. You put up on a daily chart is just one big candle. You put up on a weekly chart, they're 52 or their all-time high, or at least their 5-year high, looks like to be $44. I just tell in my room that 23.50 is a pretty big price level to break. And historically, when you see these extreme low floats pump like this, it's weird how the market dynamics work, but it's every $2.50 increments that become these key resistance levels. So I was just saying 27.50. It stopped actually at 27.51, just broke to 29. So that 29.30 above 30 is going to be 32.50. And it's just funny. Sometimes when these stocks go parabolic, there's just nothing you can do. You either accept taking on risk and trading the stock, and when we talk about risk, I mean, these stocks are going to move like pre-split Nvidia or pre-split Tesla.
Oh, this thing was crazy. It was literally the complete opposite of what we saw with ASML or AMAT, but on a percentage basis, that much greater. It went from, what we were talking about, $9 or $10 all the way up to 29 in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. I mean, there's oh my God. People in my room are still holding strong as it just pulled back $6. But Scott Kim K right now is long at $12, so she could afford that $6 pullback right now.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty. Do you teach them to use stop orders in there also? Although it's kind of hard on a stock like this, but
yeah, I actually because the stock has halted, I think so far almost 16 times today.
Nuts.
So usually once it starts getting into this mode where it just opens and halts, and starts making these really big leaps, I start begging people to get their stop up and lock in profits. And, on the first wave down, it went, I think initially from like somewhere around $17 all the way to like 10. And then it started holding 10, and now it just started exploding from 10 to 30. So, it's the one thing that I do, can I give them levels? Yes, but some people will have different risk tolerances, have different entry points. So I always tell them, certain levels of focus, concentrated focus. I know that there's some people in the Momo room. Do me a favor, please get that stop raised up. If they hold this $23 price and take out 30, we're going to see 44. You may not get there.
That's pretty crazy move. Pretty crazy move. But it also goes to show you what happens, not every time, but in a situation where you get a short squeeze, a stock with, no float, low float, short float, whatever it is, and, it gets the attention for whatever reason to the Wall Street bettors or whatever it is on social media, and there it goes.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Just people are, they see an opportunity, they see the ability to leverage, they see the price movement and volatility, and so it brings in a lot of attraction. And once it gets to the state, it's really difficult for people to short, not only due to the constriction of shares, but because of that constriction, borrow rates or borrow percentages get extremely expensive.
And that's a great thing to talk about, and I'm going to actually do that later in the week. I'm going to talk about hard to borrow and what that actually means, and why sometimes, guys, when you go to put on a position, you might get a message from your trading platform, from your brokerage firm, saying HTB, hard to borrow, and they won't even let you place the trade. So we will do a live stream on hard to borrow later in the week. Charlie, I want to turn to AI a little bit. Give me a stock that's on your AI radar, and I'm going to pull it up on my screen here, and I want you to talk about kind of the cause and effect, why AI is so powerful, why it's not the end-all, be-all also, but that it is just so incredibly powerful in generating ideas based on back testing. So what chart can I bring up for you?
Okay, so one of the plays that I had yesterday that was like probably one of the easiest trades I've ever taken in the history of the program is TRV, Tango Romeo Victor Travelers.
I have got that up here now.
The AI system called for a 3-day play, 3-day call by. It was 6-0, 347% cumulative return. The chart looked great. It had anchored above the short-term moving averages, which is 20 SMA, 10 EMA that the system utilizes. Nice little profit pocket to the 52-week highs. We basically bought in. An hour later, it hit our target. We were out, done for the day.
Yeah, it looks like yesterday it traded in like 235 to 240.
Yeah, and it's still following up today. And again, considering how the market conditions are, it certainly was pinpointed as a name of strength. We're in another one from yesterday, Dutch Brothers BROS.
Which is really one which, as many of you know, through AI, excuse me, I will sometimes look at those AI signals that Charlie puts out and kind of not piggyback the exact signal, but piggyback an idea, maybe using a diagonal or a calendar spread like we just did, guys. Those of you that are in NEM, Charlie had an AI signal out to buy an NEM, just naked call going out to November 8th. We use the diagonal call spread, which has been unbelievable so far. So this BROS Brothers is one that we're actually bid for right now. You can see this huge move up. But Charlie, tell us about this.
With NEM, that was another one that had flashed as a upside call buy, leading into earnings. Great opportunity. It structurally was perfect. It was near that 50 SMA range. And since then, all it's done is gone V reversal up. It was tied in. It was I think shortly after that day where gold was down huge randomly.
Yep, exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, and we can see it on the charts here, it was also bouncing right off the 50-day. I mean, it came down literally almost to the tick on the 50-day moving average.
Exactly. So, in context with obviously gold being so bullish right now, and we're at these very critical, inflection points with the stock, it made a lot of sense to take a low risk, high reward opportunity and just, worked out really, really well. And again, like this is where we look at the AI system, that we use here, as a lot of people will be like, it's a filter, but it's not. The large language model actually has to decipher between all of the technical triggers, even if they have a good record. Some of them will be excluded in favor for names that the system would feel would be better served under this market environment. And so you may see names that historically may be like 8 and 1 not pop on the list as a recommendation. And instead the system will be like, well, this one's 4 and 3, but it's modeling out that this has a higher opportunity of success in this market environment. And
again, with the AI, whoops, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it would probably spam 5 times the amount of names that it shows on a daily basis. So, when we talk about how it breaks down and whittles down, and, us as traders have to filter down even more by looking at the charts, you can get yourself into a really good situation pretty consistently using that tool and that system, the trade machine system overall.
And with that trade machine system, which is the one that, Charlie, myself, we had been literally searching for a long time before we honed in on this one. You have actually worked hand in hand with the developers to get some of your input into it as well, right?
Yeah, so we're still, it's tough because Ophir and Jason are so busy all the time, but we're trying to work out a few things to make things easier on our end for our client base. But, when I had that initial meeting with Ophir, he understood that I grasped what he was looking at. And, Ophir's no slouch himself. This guy was a quant that worked for hedge funds. He's a computer engineer. Jason's a computer engineer, but this is a guy that understands market dynamics and was able to incorporate that, plus using his skill set as a engineer to develop this system. And it's certainly up to a lot of interpretation as well. You can't, you and I have talked about this, just can't blindly just take any name and think we're going to immediately
No.
have success. But, there's, for example, under the category today of 14-day diagonal, there's 10 names. And I've only taken one, which was Visa today, which was that short-term diagonal trade that I'm taking.
Let me put that up on the screen here. Hang on one sec.
Yeah, obviously with the Dow trying to roar back, financial services trying to roar back. What I really like is that Visa was able to sustain above the 50 SMA and now has just gotten above the 20 SMA. So it's showing a lot of short-term strength. And there's a very transparent upside. Like when I look at gap fills.
Well, there's one here coming up.
Right. They're transparent targets. So when stocks react bullish to filling the gap, sellers tend to kind of shy away because they know what buyers are trying to, push after, and they don't want to get involved or they don't want to get in the way. And it's kind of the same thing when there's big downside gaps and the stock starts breaking down, buyers start waiting. They're not looking to jump in just yet. They're looking to jump in at a lower price because they know where the sellers are trying to drive the stock price to. So, that kind of helps the idea and the thesis of looking to the upside in Visa, knowing that the gap fill is up there and the stock has been in a state of recovery. And it doesn't help that the Dow Jones made all-time highs, just like the SPY the other day as well.
So on this particular one in Visa, which happened to recommend a diagonal call spread, what was the back test on it? Was it like 8-2, 7-1? What was?
Oh yeah, so it was 4-2 overall with
Okay.
a 60.8% return rate. The average win was about 40% larger than the average loss as well.
Okay.
So, for me, those were really good numbers. Then when we look at the chart, if you look at it, there's just nothing. There's no obstruction. There's no other moving averages until that gap fills. So, the markets bounce back. Dow catches a bid. These financial services, we've seen Affirm, UPST, PayPal, Square Inc., et cetera. We've seen the banks start moving up here. JP Morgan was explosive. Goldman Sachs was pretty damn strong off earnings before they started breaking down. Just for me, it just seems like they want to bid up regardless of what, DOJ or whatever negative news has been around on the stock.
Unreal. And tell us about, because I know you have a live webinar tonight, right? Not recorded, live webinar
Not
tonight.
recorded.
And you're going to go through the AI system that we use and just show people how easy it is to use. But again, as you and I have discussed so many times, it's not the end all be all, right? There
No.
is no holy grail out there, folks. Anybody that thinks you have the absolute, I've got it, golden ticket, it doesn't exist. But Charlie, explain though what this AI really does.
So, I'm a veteran trader, right? I've looked at, charts my entire life. I've never really been a fundamentalist, more of a technician in a sense. And in the Momo room, my win percentage is around 54, 55% on all of my swing signals. Utilizing the AI system, I am now at around 67% in that room. So you could just see the effect of someone who, obviously is speculating, looking at the markets, looking at opportunities, how much it could help even a veteran like myself tighten things up a lot better. In relation as well, what I want to do is actually showcase what it's providing on a daily basis and kind of talk about not only the metrics of the system, but then incorporate the chart and helping people understand, this plus this is usually odds in your favor. And so, where people tend to struggle is A, they don't know what to look at, and B, once they find out, they tend to chase, right? That's just human nature. Stock market's the only environment in our daily lives where we're more than willing to pay a premium for the stock as opposed to look for value, right? You go shopping for a house, you want to get a deal. You shop for a car, want to get a deal. Stock is up 200%, no problem, I want to buy. It's just a skewed mentality. So
yeah,
what we want to do is,
that's the emotion of trading where, you don't necessarily find that in a bigger purchase like what you were just talking about, but when all you have to do is click your mouse to get
Yeah.
in, and your emotions take over, or that FOMO, which we talk about all the time, takes over, that's what gets people into trouble.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a great point. This system actually takes a lot of the emotions out of it because there's preset targets based on percentage gain or percentage loss. That's going to kick us out of our trades. And, certainly we can, add the human element and maybe manage the positive end of a trade. But, I always encourage people to take these trades, kind of set it and forget it. If you're busy day trading throughout the day, it's a great way to supplement your day trading. If you're working a 9 to 5 and can't watch the market, it's a great way of being active without having to constantly, micromanage or monitor your actual trades. And again, these names are being pinpointed, presented, and given to you on a daily basis. And you don't have to take any of them, if you don't like them. My job is to kind of teach you what you should like and what you shouldn't like, so that we can filter it down even better and get ourselves into just a much stronger position as opposed to arbitrarily trying to buy any of these.
And that's one of the great things, right? Set it and forget it. I mean,
Yeah.
The ease of being able to get in or out of these positions and not have to micromanage your position and not have to be tied to your computer and, waiting for that next tick every time. I think that's, to me, would be one of the big benefits.
100%. 100%.
All right, Charlie, before we go to our wheel here, tell me what you see in Boeing. Corey just asked if we could take a look at Boeing. So I'm going to put that up on the chart here for everybody. Let's take a look. What do you see?
I mean, it's still in a significant downtrend. It's still working lower. Can't break through even the short-term moving averages, such as the 20 SMA. A prime example of recognizing when a stock is ready to turn is when they start getting above the 20 and the 50. Scott, you're in one of those names that's starting to make a really big recovery out of nowhere. Celsius, they're looking really good. They just breached above the 50 SMA. So, we've seen Boeing try a few times. And the unfortunate aspect is that every week there's some sort of news. And until that's cleared, Boeing popped today. It came up to the 20 SMA, came up to the closing price where it kind of gapped down from the closing price.
Yeah, right around
October
153 or so.
Yeah, 153, 154. And again, just instantly getting faded off. So could there be something said on earnings that could kind of change the thesis? Perhaps. But there was just cancellation news recently as well. Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as these planes are having problems, could there be something said on earnings that could kind of change the thesis? Always going to be assumed, but there was just cancellation news recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a just ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as these planes are having problems, could there be something said on earnings that could kind of change the thesis? Perhaps, but there was just cancellation news recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as these planes are having problems, could there be something said on earnings that could kind of change the thesis? Perhaps, but there was just cancellation news recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as these planes are having problems, could there be something said on earnings that could kind of change the thesis? Perhaps, but there was just cancellation news recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as these planes are having problems, could there be something said on earnings that could kind of change the thesis? Perhaps, but there was just cancellation news recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as these planes are having problems, could there be something said on earnings that could kind of change the thesis? Perhaps, but there was just cancellation news recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work,
and it's just not over yet. As long as he's there, probably there could be something said on things that I'm sure this always going to happen soon, but there was just cancellation recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as he's there, probably there could be something said on things that I'm sure this always going to happen soon, but there was just cancellation recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as he's there, probably there could be something said on things that I'm sure this always going to happen soon, but there was just cancellation recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as he's there, probably there could be something said on things that I'm sure this always going to happen soon, but there was just cancellation recently as well. That Boeing's in a really difficult spot. They have a ton of work, and it's just not over yet. As long as he's there, probably there could be something said on things that I'm